Well, Cage, it's all started with Nathan Bock, the first one to say he's off to the Gold Coast. 113 games with the Crows, club best and fairest, all Australian. Yeah. Of course, has he done the right thing or the wrong thing, Cage?
Well, I guess if you're looking at from a personal point of view, obviously the financial rewards would have been or are enormous, so you can't blame him for doing that. I'm disappointed for the Adelaide Football Club. I'm disappointed as a Crow supporter that he's gone. But look, when you've got a club, as the Gold Coast Suns have, they've got $1 million more than any other club in the competition. It doesn't make life too easy, son. It
doesn't. Let's clear up a couple of things, though, Cage. Nathan Bock hasn't signed a contract with the Gold Coast.
I found that strange.
Did not sign a contract at Christmas time, so he went in last week and spoke with Triggy and a couple of others and said this was his decision. He met with Craigie. There weren't any big fights. Craigie was disappointed. Yeah, they shook hands and said, of course, we'll always be friends, but you're the enemy now. Moved on his way. I don't know what the big deal is, Cage. I mean, we're disappointed because in Aussie rules footy, we've not seen the players publicly say they're going before the season's over. But everyone would have their head in the sand if they're thinking negotiations like this haven't gone on for the last 20 years.
Well, they probably have. The only problem is that I can't come to terms really when we see in other codes whereby a player halfway through the season generally says, look, I'm off next year, I'm not playing here. That doesn't sit with me, I'm uncomfortable with that. I just wonder, like Gary Ablett Jr. is doing at the moment, whether decisions like that are best left after the season concludes. How would you feel as coach if a player came to you and said, Smythe, at the end of the year, which you're only halfway through it, I'm off?
Oh, look, it's always a difficult time. I knew with some of the players, they come and talk to me and say clubs are approaching them.
Fine.
And I said, look, that's fine. Just don't come and tell me about it till the end of the season because we've got too much to focus on now. I understand with a couple of the players with the amounts that they were offered, very similar to what Bocky's, not the same numbers, and that's what I've said. The question of loyalty probably has a dollar value of somewhere around $20,000 to maybe $50,000 on a player staying where he's at with his teammates, enjoying the environment and all that. But once it goes past that, the player has no choice, and I don't think you can begrudge him that.
Well,
if I was Bocky, I'd be going.
Well, look, if the offer is as big as we led to believe it is, then good luck to Bocky. But I just wonder why Craigie went to Bocky, which has been reported, and said, look, I want to know. I would have thought he would have left that until the end of the season. The only reason I could ascertain from that is that it ties a club's hands by not being able to negotiate with other players' contracts.
Oh, look, I think it's
a catch-22 situation.
I think from the club's point of view, they want to know so they can get their list ready for next year.
Yeah.
So the only thing I say to that, to all the clubs that you need to be aware of is if you're asking the player to tell you the truth, and he tells you the truth, then you can't penalise him. Because if you penalise him, he won't tell you the truth. Now, if the Adelaide Crows were in the finals next week, or they were playing this weekend against Collingwood and a win got them into the grand final, would you play Nathan Bock?
Oh, Bocky would have played under those circumstances because he has something to play for.
Yep.
There's a
reason. The club needs him.
And the club definitely needs him. But given Adelaide's situation where they can't make the and Bocky himself said that he wasn't comfortable playing the final two games because he's keeping a young man out. Given the circumstances of the club at the moment, I can understand his point of view, but it would be difficult, as you said, had Adelaide been a chance to win a place in the finals. I reckon Bocky would have played.
So where's the loyalty card sit, Coach? So we're loyal to you if we need you to play in the finals, but we're not in the finals, so we don't need you, and now you're not loyal to us.
No, I don't.
For any player, I'm not just saying Bocky.
I don't think that this was a case of loyalty. I think both parties, as I read it.
No, I'm saying for any party.
How do you mean?
Well, clubs say what the clubs want is they want loyalty from their players, but loyalty's not a part of the business anymore.
No, but as I understand,
hasn't been for 20 years.
As I understand the Bocky situation.
Yep.
Both parties, that's the club and Bocky, were happy to move on.
Yep.
Now, had Bocky said, no, I wanted to play, well then, hey, that's a different ballgame.
I think if you asked...
both parties agreed
I think if you asked Bocky, he would have preferred to have been asked at the end of the season. So he's done the right thing by the club.
Well, that's a different issue. That's the point I made, that surely these decisions are best left until after the season concludes. But if the club wanted to know now, well, then they've got to cop the consequences if they get a truthful answer.
So if Bocky says, I'll tell you at the end of the season, would he have played on Saturday?
Well, I think he might have.
Yeah.
Because
so he's penalised for telling the truth.
Well, he
is.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's like Gary Ablett Jr.
Yep.
Now, there's been feeling between Bomber Thompson and Gary throughout the year because of this issue, and that's my point. Gary Ablett, why should he make a decision now? he'll give his decision at the end of the year.
And I agree with that,
he's
Coach.
entitled to
And
do it.
that's why the players will start to do it, because the penalties are too great. I will say this, though, Nathan Cracker off to the Gold Coast or somewhere in Perth, Cage, but my spies are telling me Gold Coast is where it's at and the announcement is imminent.
Quite frankly, I think that's best.
Not a loss?
No.
No?
Great talent, no question about that, but his body language, what I've seen over recent times, he just doesn't want to be here. So if that's his feeling, and if I'm right in my assessment, see you later.
So here's the tricky part, Cage. You'd be pretty happy if you're the Power and you pick up a draft pick for Nathan Cracker because he hasn't had much of a year.
Yep.
You're sitting in the Crows' corner. You've just been trashed in what they're going to get for Nathan Bock.
See, this is the issue. Like, if Gary Ablett Jr. goes, now, there's no... there is no replacement for the best player in the competition. This is why it's unfair.
Yeah.
I've been given too many free kicks. You cannot replace Gary Ablett Jr.
No, you can't. The only thing you can say on that, Cage, is they all signed off on it. So if they've all signed off on it, then you can't jump up and down now and complain.
I've made that point 10 times. I made it last night. Why the club signed off on this, I have no idea, because it is ridiculous.
Well,
it's too many free kicks.
I'll tell you why they signed off on it, Cage, because what happens is they want the Gold Coast to come to Adelaide, be it Power or Crows, and have a team that draws a crowd, because we saw it on the weekend, 14,000 at a Power game, they lose $150,000. Now, the Crows want a full house, the Power want a full house, they need the Gold Coast to be a team that's going to draw a crowd. That's worth more to them than losing a player.
Are they going to draw a crowd?
If they're competitive, they will. If they're not competitive, they won't.
Well, that's my point. We're yet to find out.
But I'm saying that's why they back them in with the big concessions, because that's what the long-term
so
view
sure
is. We need more dollars through the game.
I don't think you can guarantee at this stage that they're going to be very competitive. Who knows? They may come in and get belted.
It could do, but they need some big.
Unknown factor.
They need the big names to draw people to their games.
Well, they'll get a few big names, but like. Even when Geelong play here, they don't get too many this season.
Yep.
I think there are different reasons for that.
Yeah, look, I think Bocky, unfortunately, the money was too much, Cage. If someone walked into you tomorrow and said, look, you've got 3 years left in your job, here's an extra $600,000 if you come and work for us, would you be gone or not?
Well, you'd have to strongly think about it. There's no...
No, come on, Cage.
Well, no.
Strongly think about it. You're telling me you wouldn't go?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but there are other things other than money. It's family, there's all sorts of things.
And all of that helps him with all of those areas.
Well, it does, but given the fact that you're away from your family, that has to be a consideration. Look, I'd more than likely go, but I'd have to consider other things. It wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm off.
Yeah, but you're at a different phase in your life. He's 27 years old with a partner. Yeah, he's got 3, maybe 4 years to set himself up for the rest of his life. He'll never be able to earn the same money that he's on now to play football.
Now.
Yep.
Why has Bocky just made the decision when he said it's the hardest decision he's ever had to make, if it's that simple?
Oh, he's had to make the decision over a couple of weeks. He didn't make the decision yesterday.
Well, no, but that's my point. He said it's the hardest decision he's ever had to make.
Yeah, because he wanted to stay with the Crows.
Well, that's what I've said to you, General, that you just can't say because it's 600,000 that you're definitely going to go. You've got to consider all other aspects of your life.
You can consider all that, and then you're still going to go.
You'll still go. Is a lot of money, but you know, as Bocky said, it hasn't been like that.
So after you've considered everything,
I'd probably go.
Thank you.
A lot of money, 600 grand, something I'll never see.
Yeah, me either.